This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. All right, so today's the day, and right now, as of recording this video on Saturday, I don't know if Deshaun Watson is going to be the starting quarterback. Here's what we do know. Things have been pointing in the direction of Deshaun Watson playing. So we'll rewind this back all the way to the bye week. During the bye week, while everybody was debating this, Mary Kay Cabot, who has been the most accurate on this story and the most ahead on this story. So her word means a lot here in this case. She reported that, hey, the rehab's been going well. He's been making a lot of steady progress, and they feel really good about the progress that he's making. A lot of people are going doom and gloom here. Maybe he won't play for the rest of the season. Maybe it's something they're hiding. That's what Mary Kay reported. On Monday, not Monday, Tuesday or whatever, Wednesday, he didn't practice, but he talked to the media. When he talked to the media, he clarified some things that I felt like made sense and also cleared up the situation. So he clarified the reason why there was so much confusion on Sunday and the days after, because they got the MRI on Saturday that really told them what the situation was. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the practice week, they thought that it was one thing. It was just swelling, man. It's usually that's the case. He rammed his shoulder into somebody. He didn't hurt his shoulder in a way that is obviously a threat for like a rotator cuff tear or anything like that. It's not like he got hurt while throwing the football. It's usually when that happens. Very rarely it happens when you just try to truck somebody, right? So they thought it was swelling. And Monday through Friday, they had no reason to believe anything else. The swelling goes down, so they take the MRI, and then the MRI shows you that there's tears. Now, I think there was an MRI beforehand. I'm not 100% clear on that, but I think there were two MRIs. It's really irrelevant. They thought it was one situation, and it was reasonable to assume and think that it was one situation based on how that shoulder was hurt. The only way you could tell that there would be a rotator cuff injury on that play is if you had hindsight being 2020, right? That's the only way we can really make that determination. Nobody thought that during the game. So, you know, the rotator cuff, they discovered a micro tear Saturday night. It completely changes what the Browns can do, right? Now, they could have activated PJ Walker, but then he didn't even like get second team reps. So they're just like, all right, we'll go with DTR. That ends up being a disaster. You end up where you are in the bye week, and they're still like figuring the situation out during that first week of the bye week, right? When Andrew Berry gets out there, and that's why I think the communication on this was just messy. They get together after the bye week, they finally get the communication on point, and then we get what we get after this game, which is finally an on-point message, good news, all this stuff going in the right direction. And Deshaun Watson has not just practiced, he practiced fully on Friday. So Thursday he practiced, Friday he practiced fully. Usually when a player is injured, if they practice full 1 day a week and they're listed as questionable, they're likely to play. Limited players, it can go either way. But a questionable player who has practiced usually plays, especially if they practice fully. So that would be the normal expectation. But this is not a normal injury. This is a rotator cuff injury to Deshaun Watson's throwing shoulder. And throwing shoulder injuries are different, right? He has to be able to demonstrate velocity. He has to be able to demonstrate control. He has to be able to demonstrate that this is not going to be something that if he gets hit there once or twice, it's going to be all back to square one, right? You have to have a reasonable level of confidence that if he goes back out there, one, he's going to have control, he's going to have decent enough velocity, and that this injury is at a point to where not it can't get worse. It can't get worse is awful if that's the news, right? But the injury is at a point to where it can withstand more than a couple of hits, right? That has to also be the case, because you can be still healing from injury, but the injury is at a point to where it's not going to just snap the second you do anything on it, right? That's where this has to be. And if they feel like that's where that's at, he should play, because he needs to play, because he hasn't played much football in the last 3 years. He needs the reps. We talked about the offense hitting its stride hopefully in November. Well, that's been sidetracked a couple of weeks. Luckily, the Browns had this situation popped up in a stretch where they had the bye week. So he misses 3 weeks, but only 2 games, and you won one of them. So if this is the extent of the injury, you are fortunate that this has happened. This is when it happened. And if he has no other injuries going forward, you feel very, very good about when this happened. Hindsight's going to be 2020. Nobody was thinking this in the moment, but this could be something that in the future we're looking at like, hey man, that really worked out that it happened at that time. Contrary to what we were thinking at the time. So that's the whole situation with Watson's injury. He probably will play. Again, Mary Kay, who's been ahead on this stuff, she's had the best read on this that anybody has had. When everybody else was giving you doom and gloom stuff, she was telling you that this is what it's going to be, and everything that she has said has happened. Now, she's not reporting this. Let me make this clear. This is Mary Kay Cabot's opinion, but her opinion holds a lot of weight given how accurate she has been and how tapped in she has been with this situation and how obvious that is. She believes it's a 95% possibility for Deshaun Watson. Now, she's not reporting that, but she's using everything she knows. She's saying 95%. Everybody who was at that practice Friday and who was also at that practice Thursday, from Cam to Hayden, like people that I work with all the time, they watched him on Thursday, thought, he probably ain't playing this week. Watched him on Friday and said he probably might play. There was a significant difference from how he looked on Thursday to Friday. So that suggests that this thing is healing. You can give it work and it's going to continue to heal. And that it might be at the point where he can play and heal at the same time. So that is where the Browns are when it comes to Deshaun Watson. Now, when it comes to this game, whether Deshaun plays, whether PJ plays, the game on the offensive side of the ball is going to come down to patience. This is a Colts defense that loves to get turnovers. This is a Colts defense that loves to bore you into making a mistake. They play that cover 6 heavy scheme, 3 high, 4 quarter all the time. Like, they're not going to give you the big stuff down the field. You're going to have to dink and dunk them. So whether it's PJ Walker, whether it's Deshaun Watson, they're going to have to be patient in this game. This is a very similar game offensively that you played against the Tennessee Titans. Similar approach. The Tennessee Titans were a similar approach on defense, a similar approach on the defensive line, and similar talent levels across the positions of each team, right? The Titans had a really good defensive line, a questionable secondary, some decent linebackers, some really good linebackers. The Colts have a really good defensive line, some really good linebackers, and a questionable secondary. This, for all intents and purposes, is a similar matchup. So whether it be Deshaun, whether it be PJ, the game plan is going to be the same. Whether it be Deshaun, whether it be PJ, the key to this game is still going to be the same. Patience. Patience from the offensive line. Don't get downfield early. You're going to get some screen opportunities. Patience in the run block game. You're going to get some opportunities to climb. You don't have to be early. Patience, 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 patience. That will be the key offensively for the Browns today in this game. Now, when it comes to the Browns defense, I personally am expecting a little bit of a off game from this defense, because it's just a lot to expect them to go on the road after such a momentous victory and be able to capitalize on top of that. Most teams in the NFL, most games in the NFL, like there's usually a fall off after that type of game. Just look at what happened with San Francisco. The Browns had a terrible game the week before. Everybody was low in the dumps. San Francisco had the best game that they've had in years against the Dallas Cowboys. You think that momentum would carry over, but the opposite happened, right? One team got momentum, the other team didn't. It's important that the Browns don't come into this game, especially defensively, underestimating their opponent. And this will be a show of maturity for this team as well, right? Because it's one thing to have an off game. You're going to have an off game. I don't think having an off game is a show of a lack of maturity, but how you have this off game does matter, right? If you're having an off game because they're catching you off guard, or are you having an off game because you just completely underestimated your opponent and came in not as motivated as you did the week before. And again, this is going to be a tough week to find motivation, but there is motivation to be found here, right? AWOC's playing against his old team. Rodney McLeod's playing against his old team. Bubba Ventrone's playing against his old team. You got to find some kind of motivation to make this game just important as the last game. You got to find reasons not to underestimate them in spite of the fact that they're not that great of a unit and that Gardner Minshew is coming in here. You have to find a way to not underestimate, execute, because they also have Jonathan Taylor. They also have Quentin Nelson. They can run inside, take advantage of that. And I think that the Browns leave their corners kind of on islands. It's a little bit too much. I think that will be taken advantage of this week. Also, Shane Steichen does a lot of that motion that really hurt the Browns versus the Baltimore Ravens, especially in the run game. So I think that the Colts are going to be able to have success. I honestly think the over is a good play in this game. I think the overs are like 40.5. I think both teams will get over 20 points in this game, but that's what I think. I think the offense is going to have to show up, and I think this is a game where the offense can show up. Defense, it's going to take a lot for them to come in as focused as they were last week. It's going to take a lot to come in and not underestimate. But I do expect a professional defensive performance. Just be good in the moments that matter. If you're good in those moments, even though you're having an off day, it's not really going to be that big of a deal here. And whether Deshaun plays or not, the key to the game for the passing offense and the offense in general, run game, pass game, screen game, patience. Patience is the key. They just have to be patient and confident that the shots will be there later on. They don't have to rush it. They don't have to press. They just have to be confident that the things will open their way sooner than later. But that's my thoughts the morning of the game. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have a